What are we talking about? We're talking about 5th edition Planescape. We have been covering the entire product from Sigil and the Outlands to Mort's, I can never remember, Planar Parade. There we go. Now we are looking at the Turn of Fortune's Wheel, the adventure that comes with your Planescape product. We've looked at chapters 1 and 2 of the adventure. We are about to embark on chapter 3. The klaxons should now be going off because there will be spoilers here. You have been warned. If you are going to play this adventure, or if you're going to read it and don't want to have the plot and the encounters of the adventure spoiled, abandon ship here, folks. Here we go. In the first 2 chapters, we wake up in the mortuary and are told that something's wrong with us and with the world and with the multiverse itself. So we escape the mortuary, we get out into Sigil proper, and we are hustled away from potential incarceration by an NPC who tells us that they are going to help. We get finally to the place where we are supposedly safe, which is called Fortune's Wheel, the casino run by Shemeska. So lead on, Teos. Tell us
Yeah.
where we're headed now.
Well, you can see for those watching the video, kind of the beauty of it. So this provides us with a casino experience. When you arrive, we talked about last time how chapter 2 is a little sort of thin, maybe, and a little strange, and your characters may have questions. They may again have questions because they're walking and they see this opulent casino, and they're told, "Hey, you will be meeting with Shemeska 3 hours from now. Here are room keys. You can go up to your room and bathe, and there's clothing and like all kinds of stuff. Like you're all taken care of. There's a kind of butler type there, Valak, who will cater to your need, though he expects a small silver piece tip. And then enjoy the casino. And oh, by the way, I gotta go. So your guide leaves, and you're left in the hands of Valak, and you are to enjoy the casino experience. Which again, you might be going like, but I want to find out what's going on.
Mhm.
Play some casino games, Shawn.
Yes. And so off we go. We get a description of the casino. Beautiful, colorful map. Love the map. We get the rules of the casino. Uh, Instead of using your own coin, you use what are called razor leaves. These are the chips. One razor leaf, a gold hued token inscribed with razor vine leaf, is worth 10 gold pieces. So immediately you get the casino experience of here you go. You're given some for free, but you can also buy more if you choose. And then you can go play casino games. We get a list of 4 gamblers who are there to add color to the scenes and locations within the casino, including a bar, the cages, an illusory fountain that is actually a scrying device that the Mezoloth guards use to watch the casino. There are slot machines and table games, as well as Fortune's Wheel, the big game that everyone can play that costs 5 razor leaves to spin the wheel. That's 50 gold pieces. There's also an ice lounge and a stage, back rooms like security rooms and private rooms, uh, as well as a portal to the platinum rooms, which come about later in the adventure. What do you think of these games, Teos?
They're perfectly cromulent. They're fun, right? They're interesting and quirky. Like the slot machines, 2 of them are Duodron Modrons. I don't know why I didn't make all of them that, but and there are
Mm-hmm.
simple rules for playing, and you can win tiny larvae or teeth or a jackpot like a necklace of fireballs, and you'll probably run out pretty quickly. I mean, I think that's one thing that I think is that the amount of currency you have, but maybe the idea is just different players will play different games, so it's probably fine. You play through these various games, and I think the idea is really kind of, explore as much as you want of this. And in and around there are the games themselves that I think these things are always fun. Like they're fun. It changes up the session. I don't know that it fits in the cadence of what this adventure, where the adventure started. I think it's a little bit of an odd placement in terms of the kind of story beat, the story feel. But these kinds of activities are fun, and in and around them are some interesting characters, right? There's a Yeti bartender at the Ice Lounge and has a face-numbing cocktail named Abominable Yes Please. There is a sulking white dragon that has accumulated a huge bar tab, and if you help them out, they thank you and they just leave. Like, I hope they come back later in this adventure. But if you don't do that, they will cause an incident later. And there are a couple of events that happen as at the end of each hour. There's some identity thieves that are Vecna impersonators that are pickpockets. There is the young white dragon, which might snap, but if you took care of them, then nothing happens. And at the end of the third hour, Shemeska will arrive and you meet with them. So yeah, I thought it was fine. Fun design, but it just feels a little strange to happen here at this point in the adventure. But what do you think, Shawn?
Yeah, adventure design is hard. And people, it goes to the fundamental point of, why do people buy adventures? Do they buy adventures for the setting, or do they buy adventures for the encounters? Mm. And the answer is always both. But the question is then, to what extent do they do these things? And so far, what we've seen are a first chapter where you're given a goal right away. That's good. You need to escape. People aren't going to want you here, so get out as quickly as you can. And if you choose correctly, you can get out with basically one encounter.
Right.
Then we get to the second chapter, which is similarly, okay, you're here, you come out, and you need to find your way out of things. How do you do that? You get a guide right away. That's good. The action comes to you. You don't have to go search for it. But boom, okay. And then you're off. But the game master ends up being the one to create the adventure that happens within the setting of the chapter, which can be fine. There were some options that were given, but it was sort of make it up as you go. Then we get to the third chapter, which is this really cool setting, give you nice descriptions, funny, quirky, but it's sort of make up your own adventure. They do give you 3 timed events at the end of each hour. The first is identity thieves. You talked about the Vecna impersonators. Mm-hmm. Second, there's the disgruntled patron. So the white dragon, if its tab is not paid, snaps. And then you either have to talk it down or deal with it in some way. And then the third timed event is Shemeska arrives. So really, that's not an event.
Yeah.
That's the end of the chapter.
And hearing you say this, what it really makes me think is these 2 chapters have tamped down all of the goals and impetus that you had in the first chapter. So your first chapter, you're like, you got to figure out what's going on here, but you got to get out, right? So get it. So get out is priority 1. Priority 2 is learn about who you are. And then we have 2 whole chapters where you can't learn who you are. You can't even ask with anything coming your way. Maybe in chapter you get some visions or something like that. And that's that's rough when you kind of in your game incentive sort of tamps down what is actually your one goal and motivation. And particularly in this chapter in the casino, it's replacing it with, hey, you're fine to just sit around and play games, right? And chapter 2 had a little of that with, like, maybe you just want to go have like a sandwich, an outer planar sandwich. And it's like, that's the wrong energy, right? Like, and if I had character goals that could be fulfilled at this casino, right? if there were a person that knows about the dead, or
Mhm.
about how people has strange tales of the mortuary or something, then you could play these games while trying to get in on their good side or something, and get to meet them or
Mhm.
something like that, and your goals would align. You'd have a reason to play this, but
Mhm.
also play these games, have fun, but be on track for what your goals are.
Right. Shemeska, we learn at the end of this chapter, is a player, right?
Mhm.
She is playing everyone all the time. The world, the multiverse, they're just pawns, whether they're her allies or her enemies, they're just pawns. And everything she does is for a reason. So this chapter needs to have her messing with the players in some way right away. Not sit around and have fun, but something comes up to the characters and attacks them or messes with them. So Shemeska can then come in and rescue them
Mhm.
again to put them in her debt. Or maybe the note says, here's some coin, here's a room, refresh yourself, have a meal, have a drink, play some games. But I want you to blank,
Mhm.
whatever that may be. That then puts the players on track for something, puts them in her debt
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
or she pretends that she's in the player's debt and is helping them because they helped her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you are this mastermind of Shemeska, you would orchestrate something at the casino that would
Mhm.
really want them to have her help.
Right.
And instead she just sort of meets, and she says, and we get some advice on running her, right? That because
Mhm.
it always is intimidating to run the villain as a not villain. One of
Right.
the advice bits we get is she will admit to being dangerous because she's a fiend, right? She's a Yugoloth,
Mhm.
and she thrives on mutual distrust. And so it doesn't matter what she wants with this Modron that she's going to send you to find, because sort of like, it doesn't matter what my reasons are, we don't trust each other anyway. And I'm like, that's going to make everybody more suspicious. um
Mhm.
and if you are suspicious, she just offers you an extra 300 gold up front, and that's a little, it's that kind of plot hook that just assumes the characters will go along with this no matter
Mhm.
what. But they don't really have to, right? And I don't know
Right.
that they are given proper information here to really. The idea is, you go do this task for me of getting a rogue Modron that has vanished into the Outlands. I will
Mhm.
meanwhile take my vast information network and have them figure out who you are.
Mhm.
But we're told as DMs, the whole point of this is a distraction to tie up the characters. They might even die. Um, and so which is a little weird because she knows they can't die. Um, Plus, also, I think she needs this Modron, but that's what we're
Mhm.
told is they will go. They might even come back, and it ties them up while she can further her plans.
Mhm.
There's no guidance here around something like a wisdom insight check against her.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a little strange. If they accept, they get a piece of lapis lazuli shaped like an eye, which is a key to a portal in the clerk's ward, and that'll take them to the Outlands and the next chapter. And she then will excuse herself to go have her agent search for information for them, but she's
Mhm.
not actually doing that. She already knows who they
Yep.
are. She's not there to help them. And you could keep enjoying the casino if you want, or head to the Outlands whenever you're ready. And that's kind of the chapter. And I think work
Yep.
could have been done here to make
Yep.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Two things. One, if you're going to have the characters level up after every chapter because you're going to do
Mm,
story based leveling, you need to have enough content that they feel like they've done enough to level up. I'm cool with level up each chapter. Not don't have any quarrel with that at all. Make it feel like they've done something. They could literally walk in, stay in their room for 3 hours, come out, get the mission, and they've leveled.
Yeah, that's a great point. And last chapter
Uh,
too was gain a level for walking across the town. Well, at least you did go in the Underdark and the Under Sigil, so I guess there
under
is
sigil,
that.
yeah.
But yeah,
The second thing is if you're going to write an adventure that relies on DMs to add stuff to it, either on the fly or planned things, let them know the full story ahead of time. Let them know
mm,
why is you it the adventure says Shemeska sends them out saying that this Modron was an accountant that worked for her casino who escaped, and he has lots of information that could hurt the casino, so she wants him found.
mm,
Okay, cool. That's the lie she tells. Then the adventure tells the DM she's just doing this to get rid of the players to get them out of her hair. But by putting them into contact with this Modron, she is actually undoing her own plans. And if she's as smart as as the adventure says she is, she would not do that.
yeah,
She might want to if she just wants to get rid of the characters, she could just kill them. If she needs them alive, I need to know why she needs them alive. If she's trying to use them to get to work against their own interests, I need to know what it is she's planning so I can add elements to the game that do that.
hmm,
But as it is written right now, she does not seem like she's a genius mastermind spy. She seems like she's making one mistake after the other, unless I know what her plans are.
hmm,
If I know what her plans are, then I can say, okay, she actually does want the Modron found, but for a different reason. And she wants the players to trust her. So she is going to set up what looks like a robbery from her casino. She's going to have the players investigate this robbery. There are going to be clues that she has planted here that points to a Modron. And then she is going to say, oh, a Modron did this you have found? Why, thank you. I would have never known that without your help. There is a Modron that worked for me who has not been seen in days. Hmm. Now that you have solved this problem for me, thank you. That was 2 hours of playtime plus a small combat that makes you feel like you've done some things. Now I know I heard rumors that he was seen in the Outlands. I can send you to the last place he was seen.
hmm,
Boom. You have now have a reason for the players to trust her.
right.
She has put herself into their debt, uh, at least, you know, what it seems. But I need to know this so I can make those sorts of changes.
Yeah, and the emphasis needs to be on the player character goals, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where, from the very beginning, the Shemeska's spy who accompanied you last time just sort of leaves, but could plant all these seeds, right? Could say there's no better information broker than Shemeska. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody can find out who you are, this is who it is. That's why I've brought you to her. And if you can prove your value to her, she would work with you
Mm-hmm.
and set
Right.
that up, right? And then, oh, look, a situation happens that allows you to prove your value, and now she's gonna repay the favor. Just this one more thing for her, something like that. Yeah, it's thin, and I very much dislike. It's the whole like go to Cholt, and we're told you got to go stop
Mm-hmm.
the death curse. But hey, how about some dinosaur races? And you're like, I really want
Right.
to do these dinosaur races, but this feels totally at odds with my goals.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so in that case, you, adventure writer, are the person who's giving the goals to the characters. So you can manipulate that in any way you
Yeah,
want. You
right.
just have to actually take the time to think about that and then do that in the most organic, fun, and engaging way possible.
Yes. So,
So we meet Shemeska. So let's step all the way back. So you get there, you freshen up in these beautiful opulent rooms, which it would be great if there was something you could do when you go to the rooms. Uh, anything,
yeah.
anything that there is a decision, there's checks to be made, something. Are these rooms being watched? Yes. Okay. How can the characters figure that out? And what can they do to stop that from happening? Great. They've done the thing there. Now they go down to the table games. Okay. They play some table games. Again, these timed events are okay. They're not perfect. They don't really fit into the story that's being told. So, boom, let's do that. And then they meet Shemeska. We get information about her. We are told that she is the villain. We are told we have to try to make her not the villain, as Teos said. If they mistrust her, she says, I know that you mistrust me and you're smart too. So let's all work toward mutual goals.
Right.
What are the characters told? They are to locate a rogue Motron R04M, who will be called Rome from now on. He vanished into the Outlands. She's busy. She wants the PCs to track him down. She gives them the portal key so they can get to the Outlands. She says, I have to go, but I'll have my agents search for the information you're looking for, and away we go. Hey, take a level. Okay.
Yeah.
Now we go into the Outlands. So this begins part 2, chapter 4. While Shemeska investigates the character's origins and the strange magic affecting the adventurers, the party travels to the Outlands in search of a fugitive Modron. Their trail leads to a mysterious castle with the ability to traverse the plane. The magical fortress has recently been occupied by fiends, which proved to be an impediment to investigating the site, learning more about the missing Modron, and exploring the Outlands beyond.
Yeah.
Or is it?
And this is one of these things where you are... The goals, the whole goal is find this Modron. And something that we see a lot in organized play is here are the things the characters would ask and how to deal with that. And this does not have that, right? We meet Shemeska and we're just told, use this portal key. And I would want to have a whole bunch of questions of, is the Mimir on the other side? Or the Modron on the other side? Where do I find Rome? Right? What am I doing? Where am I going? Where will this lead me to? Any of that. None of that is given here. You have to read ahead if somehow and you'd have to decide whether Shemeska would answer any of this. But you're going to arrive in a wasteland halfway between the Spire and the gate town of Torch. And there's nothing going on, though there is an obvious trail that of something that has moved through, something massive.
Right.
And
it's very strange because it says you see an obvious trail and it's like big gouges in the earth.
It doesn't even describe that.
But it does. I don't even know if it's in the box text. Maybe it's in the box text.
Great impact divots mark the passage of something enormous. There it is.
Right. And then it calls for a DC 12 wisdom survival check to know that it wasn't made by animals. And I'm thinking, really? Huge divot-sized. They're not footprints at all. I think I could have probably figured that out on my own. I don't know if a DC 12 wisdom survival check is necessary there. Maybe to know that it's made by metal squares or something like that.
Well, and this is one where I would just say that the person who rolls the highest survival check knows the following. If you're going to even call for a check, but yeah, why even? So if you go to this, you find this walking castle that has this great artwork where it looks like it's like sort of this towering castle, almost like a wedding cake kind of towering upwards. And then it has these legs that don't even connect. They're sort of like pillars that just sort of barely touch or don't even touch and that reach down to the ground that really end on like points. So it's actually a quite weird type of track that it leaves if the artwork is to be believed. Who knows which came first. But this is one of these things where you're like, hey, the portal took me to just a random spot. Am I supposed to think this castle has anything to do with my quest? Of course it does, but there's nothing that really would drive that, and logic would speak against it, right? But it does.
Yeah. In other words, if they come through, unless there is a compelling reason not to have the castle be just there, have the castle be just there.
Hmm.
because all you're doing otherwise is giving the players a chance to get distracted, to
Yes.
get to argue, to say, well, no, we want to avoid this. And so if your instructions to the DM are, if they follow the castle, they find it. And if they don't follow the trail, they still find it, then
Yeah.
just eliminate everything that comes before that and just
And
put the castle there.
and a way to do it would be just as they show up. The castle's almost upon them. They have to scramble out of the way. And if they look at tracks, they can tell that it's actually been through here a lot. So it's
Mm-hmm.
going, which would make a lot of sense with what's going on in the castle, that it's sort of going around in circles. And
Yep.
that would make a lot of sense, which then explains why you just happen upon this thing. Well, this thing's going around and around because of the events that we're going to get to. And so, of course, it's going, but now it's there. It's interesting. It's part of the situation. And this Walking Castle is a Githzerai built hermitage from times past for the study of the planes. Currently inhabited by Zathir, but she is being held captive by fiends. And we're not kind of given a whole lot of reason of just fiends seem to have come here and taken over the castle.
Right.
Um, and
They're, they're
so,
they're they're
yeah,
trying to learn how to make it move in the way that they want it to
right.
move, but the book literally says their motives are, quote, up to you. It could be that they want
Hmm.
information. It could be that Shemeska has hired them to find Rome, and I'm like, why would Shemeska want to hire them to find Rome? Is there a reason? What's her
Yeah.
plans? Then I can give a good reason for the fiends to be there. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's, it's one of those interesting things that we asked a lot when we were reading the setting. Will the adventure give us what Planescape is? And it's been hit or miss. Like there wasn't any faction involvement in the casino. While there's some interesting characters, they aren't necessarily like out or planar interesting. They don't tell us a whole lot about the fabric of Sigil. And now we're in the Outlands. So, are we going to learn about the Outlands? And I don't want it to just be that there's wild stuff anywhere. Like that shouldn't just be the answer. And this is one of those things that feels like, well, we'll just put fiends there, like, because anything can be here. And it's like, yeah, but who do they work for? What are they tied to? Like that, there could be an interesting story there that could lead maybe to more play if the characters feel like it. But I think there's that fear of keeping them on track, not having it mean anything. So there are just fiends here. And the fiends have taken over most of the castle. So you can fight them and work your way through. There's a cool map that shows sort of how everything connects. This is a library, so there are various things that you can look at in terms of those locations, but nothing particularly wild. And so the main thing is getting to Zathir, the Githzerai protector. There's a thing called the Castellan, which controls the movement of the castle. And then there's a Mimir, which is damaged. And that part's very funny. The whole Mimir. What did you think of that, John?
oh, yeah. I mean, that was really cute. There were some funny parts or interesting parts, like that in the library there was a mummy of the original librarian
Yeah.
who is not alive, but if you ask for where something is in the library, the mummy's eyes will move to that section of the library. So it's just, we're gonna call this mummy Dewey Decimal, uh, the Gith Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
So that there are neat things like that, and the Mimir is the whole reason why, plot wise, why the characters need to be here. Uh, the characters need to be here because this Mimir, called the Mosaic Mimir, was being used by Rome to get information on the Outlands. Okay, now we finally at least understand
Why we're
what
here.
Rome is doing. Rome is trying to find out what happened along the path of the Great Modron March the last time it took place. So it was using this Mimir to to gather information and be told information about that march. Unfortunately, this Mimir was damaged in the fiend attack, so it's lost a lot of the information that it had, and it can't be used to figure out where Rome might have gone. So, what do we need to do to get this Mimir to reset? We need to visit the places where it is missing information from. Okay.
Yeah. And so we get a list of towns, gate towns, where it's missing data. Automata, Cursed, Excelsior, Faunel, Glorium, Rigus, and Sylvania. And then in general, it's missing data about the last Great Modron March. So to restore it, you can learn with an intelligence check, or Zathir can just tell you that you have to be in the place you're receiving data about. So being within 5 feet of a gate town. And whoever has attuned to the Mimir must record a description of the location and their impression of it, taking 1 minute. And now you can check that off of this tracking sheet that you have, and you have done this. And I'm thinking to myself, that is really weird. I get within 5 feet of the gate town, I tell you what I think of it, and now it's good? Like, that reboots its little knowledge of the gate town?
Yeah. I'm fine with that, actually. I'm fine. Normally I might go, what? But at least it's something. It's a goal that the players have now, moving toward their objective. And it's what I would expect from a Planescape adventure, right? We need a reason to go to the gate towns to see all these cool places. Here it is. Is it forced? Yes.
Well, yeah,
Are a lot of D&D things forced? Yes.
Sure. But shouldn't it be like, see 3 notable things in the town? It's something to make me go inside? Like, I don't have to go inside.
I think it says within 5 feet of the gate, not the gate
portal.
town.
It's the portal.
Of the portal,
okay.
Right.
I thought you just had to get within 5 feet of the town.
No.
The portal.
Yeah.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do have to go into the town.
Okay.
And then
Good.
If you are within 5 feet of the portal that leads to the outer plane, something's going to happen.
Right. Something, but by then you've had the heart of the. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm okay with the forced nature of that. At least it makes sense that you will have experienced the town. The portal key. That's the key, but not the portal key.
Well, the weird thing though is we're told that what the characters say or record into the Mimir will become important at the conclusion. And I'm like, that's weird. So I was on D&D Beyond, so it says, adventure conclusion. So I clicked that link, and it literally took me to the conclusion of the adventure. And I didn't have a lot of time, so I'm like, let me just skim here. And it really doesn't say. It gives this impression of what if the characters give it real information, good. If they give it slightly flawed information, if they give it like information that's just plain wrong, then something bad's going to happen. But we don't get any more detail than that. So you could run this whole thing. Players could just like say, okay, over there is a fire elemental, and over here is this, and over here's that, and they give us this sheet to write on.
Yeah.
But I don't, as the DM, I don't understand the implications, the consequences of what they do. And it needs to be told there.
This tracker has, the name of each gate town, automata, description, and you could maybe cram in a sentence here with poor handwriting. And then it's accurate / skewed. So I guess you're choosing one or the other. So at least on the tracking side, as you play through this, you're going to write down a description and you can choose whether it's accurate or skewed. And that's going to drive the results. Yeah, it feels a little thin. Not enough of a. I would almost want. What I'd rather have is events, right? Where how did you handle this event? That each gate town would have a choice, right? A meaningful choice where it's not easy, and you have to think about the town's nature, your nature. What are you going to do here? That to me would be an unlock, right? That would be a real. And that players could go and say like, yeah, we made that decision. Oh, it had repercussions. Accurate skewed is sort of like, I don't know, the one character that did the info had a sense of humor, and so now you suffer. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think huge spoiler here. I think the point is that this information that the characters give is going to reset reality.
Right.
And so if they give incorrect information, reality will be set incorrectly,
Correctly.
which I love that idea. If that's the case, tell me here. Tell me right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I pay attention.
But
If it just says
also,
this is
yeah.
important in the conclusion, but you don't tell me what's at stake,
Hmm.
my level of engagement with that information, if I'm worried about running a fun encounter and getting this right or getting that right, or Willie doesn't have enough pizza at the table, so I need to order another pizza, right? I need to know the scope and the scale and the consequences of what's happening right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also a sense of fairness is important, right? Because if the DM
Mm-hmm.
starts thinking that the players may be saddened by an outcome one way or the other, but they don't know whether it's particularly important to be accurate or skewed,
Mm-hmm.
that's a. We also get information on the last Great Modron March, Shawn.
Mm-hmm.
Every 289 years, untold numbers of Modrons are lost. They enter the Outlands through the portal in the gate town of Automata. They visit all the gate towns. They pass through the Rimani settlement of Dendradis at the base of the spire. Then they go into portals into the outer planes. Eventually, they return to Mechanus. And the last Great Modron March occurred ahead of schedule and experienced a heightened number of irregularities and losses, and they say for tenebrous reasons, which I like because I think
Mm-hmm.
Tenebrous was the name of like the stand-in for who was really behind it.
Right.
Interestingly, we're not told the history of that.
Right.
Maybe it doesn't matter, or maybe they don't care. Like I'm curious, like why would you not say what happened in that adventure at all?
Yeah, I'm okay if they don't, as long as it's not important.
Yeah, if it's not
Um,
important, right?
yeah, if all I need to know is the last march went poorly, and say exactly what it is. This is a census. The Modrons are taking a census of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's why they do it. And if things go poorly, that affects the Modrons and
And reality,
effectively could affect
the planes,
reality.
yeah.
Yeah, the entire multiverse. So just that little bit more of information will help me as the DM say, oh, okay, I see what's happening here. This is going to be what the players do is going to affect reality in the long run. So I need to make special notes about these sorts of things
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
why.
And yet, at the end, it seems that for all the actions they may make, what matters is whether this description is accurate or skewed. So I'm going to have problems with that as we read this.
Yeah.
We're told that, some information on travel. It could take you a long time to get from one place to another or short. It's sort of up to you. The next chapters, 5 to 11, are these 7 gate towns. You can do them in any order. There is an order written on the tracker handout, and that was told earlier in the text. But they can go in any order they want. And when you explore 2 towns, you will gain a level. The 4th town, 8th level, and you get to 9th level when you explore 6. So every 2 towns, you are gaining a level, so that you will be 9th level before you start chapter 13.
Mhm. And that's what we will get to next time. We will look at these chapters that show what happens when the characters take the Mosaic Mimir and head off to these gate towns to fill it with new and hopefully accurate information. So, Teos, before we head off, any other thoughts on chapters 3 and 4?
Um, Chapter 4, I think in general is fine. It's a little weird, that setup, but once it gets going, I think that it's a fun location. The monsters, the fiends you fight, Mesaloth and others, are interesting. It's cool. Right now, chapters 2 and 3, the walk through Sigil and Fortune's Wheel, felt to me weak and misaligned with player goals. They didn't deliver to me a great Sigil experience. I might end up with one if I do so as DM, but they don't deliver it to me in what's written. Nor do
Mhm.
they, I think, facilitate it greatly for where I'm standing. My Outlands experience is so far largely about a castle, though in a weird setting that's discovered as being, multicolored and whatever. So I'm excited to get more Outlands that is actually Outlands. It is
Mhm.
interesting that at the end of this, you might have a walking castle that you're roaming in. That's kind of cool. I dig
Mhm.
that. I think that's a really neat idea. Um, but I'm curious how these Gate Town experiences will be, and whether we get some additional Outlands experiences to really frame that well and make that setting sing. What do you think,
Yep,
Shawn?
a lot, the exact same thing. A lot of how I think of this adventure is going to be riding on these next 7 chapters
Hmm.
to see what they do with the setting that they've shown us throughout the other 2 books of this set. So we will be here to go through that next time. Thank you so much, Teos, for, as always, your fine contributions to the show. And thank you to our patrons who keep the lights on here for us, keep the servers running, keep the caffeine flowing, keep the little gerbil in Shawn's brain spinning his wheel. Thank you specifically to our Master of Dungeon supporters of our Patreon. Thank you to our Master of Realms supporters and our Masters of the Multiverse patrons. Well, you get your name read on the air. Graham Ward, James Walton, Joe Tyler, Trey, Krishna Simose, Andy Shockney, Ross Sandberg, Chance Russo at Drago Russo, Vladimir Prenner from Croatia, Robert Pasley, Post Fiction RPG Audio, Falcon Neal, Sean Molly, The Micro Ant, Eric Mengi, The Mathemagician, Chad Lench, Jim Klingler, aka DM Prime Mover, Brian King, Chad Jackson, Sean Hurst, Ben Heisler, and Paige Lightman, The Mighty Jerd, Nathan Fuller, Andy Edmonds at Nerdronomicon, Seth Eckel, Darren Chandler, Evil John, Merrick Blackman, Steve Bissonette, Craig Bailey, and Keith Ammon of The Monsters Know What They're Doing. Thank you all for listening and for supporting us via the Patreon. If you like our show, if you are a longtime listener, please do consider supporting the Patreon. It's at patreon.com/masteringdnd. And every cent is a love letter to us, and it fills our heart with joy.
It does indeed.
If you get a chance, also leave us a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to this podcast. If you are on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. That helps us out, helps spread the word, and you get to see these lovely faces each and every week. Teos, where can people find you on the
Ooh.
socials?
Yeah, alphastream.org is my website. You can find all the information on my creations, the latest articles. You can leave me nice or rude comments there. I've been getting a few rude ones because of my recent, they found me, Shawn. They've been a little
Oh,
angry.
mhm.
Yeah, you can leave non-spicy responses at alphastream.org, and it's always appreciated. And honestly, the most cool fun is when you support us on Patreon and you hang out with us in the Discord.
Mhm.
That means the world to me. I love the folks there, interacting with them, bouncing ideas back and forth. That's really cool. Thank you for that. Shawn, tell me where you're hiding, and please don't say it's Twitter. Come on.
I am hiding in plain sight on all the places,
Oh,
all the places. If you find me at Shawn Merwin on those places, you can talk with me there. The show itself is also on all the places at Mastering DND. If you join our Patreon, as Teo said, you can join our community, our our forums, talk to us, interact with us, let us know what you want us to talk about, and give us your opinions on these topics. You can also leave comments on the Mastering Dungeons YouTube channel. So we are now in charge of a walking castle, and we are heading out into the Outlands. What are we going to do now?
oh, well, I'm going to use the franchise rules first to change the whole experience around the castle. And then I'm going to uh, go watch all the Miyazaki films for inspiration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to take a nap because it's been only a few hours since I died.